the Kindle.
Same way that the iPod really opened up the portable music player space to, I mean, maybe 10 years ago we might have had a Diamond Rio or a Nomad or something like that, But to ever imagine that our mothers and fathers and sisters and brothers, people who weren't geeks, people who weren't hackers, that they would be downloading music from the internet and playing it and having these little devices, we couldn't have imagined it. But this, the iPod opened up the digital music space to regular people. And the iPhone has really done the same thing with smartphones. People who never would have had a Palm Pilot, they wouldn't have seen the point for it. People who never would have gone with Windows Mobile, never would have gone with Symbian or whatever all the other ones were. Regular people are walking around with iPhones in their pockets. And I think this is going to do the same thing in the netbook market. People who don't sit on their couch, and I mean, we probably all have laptops on our laps when we're sitting on the couch, and it's no big deal. But our mothers and fathers and sisters and brothers don't. They're not surfing the web while they're watching television or when they're in the kitchen and things like that. And they might get this device and do that. So it's going to open up that netbook space to people who were never going to buy one of these other, Windows running or Linux running netbooks.
I think people are talking about consumers a lot, but I think there's a paradigm shift for certain industries too. Like, if you were to take, for example, like real estate agents, this kind of a machine is going to replace a desktop for a real estate agent if you can get the kind of applications on that are going to facilitate them, because they really don't need a lot of the bells and whistles that come with. We have very unique relationships with our machines because we are power users, but people like real estate agents or construction people, they don't have those same relationships. And if they can just get encapsulated applications that specifically do what they need them to do, they're not going to be using old, regular machines the way that they have before. If they can get all of the, like the MLS and all the other things like that a real estate agent would use, I think it could be really paradigm shifting. Maybe not this particular machine, but it's going to shift the whole paradigm with how regular consumers use devices, I think.
Yes, so the argument is, so people who have specialized use cases maybe use 3 or 4 applications, why not just put all 3 or 4 on the iPad? Yeah, there's a laptop in every police car in the hospital. Yeah, a cool thing I saw on Wired got their hands on one of the iPads at the event, just that little video in the PowerPoint app, in the Keynote app, whatever, it's like Xerox. There's actually like a virtual laser pointer that if you swipe 2 fingers up, you can either draw on the slides during presentation or laser pointer on the slides. And I was like, I can imagine every VC pitch in the Valley from now on. Like, if you don't have an iPad there hooked up to your projector, then you're no longer going to raise money.
I'll add just one comment on the Kindle debate. I guess blogs are full of debate if iPad is in a Kindle Kindle. I think one important point to note is the publishing format. Apple is adopting, I believe, EPUB or an open publishing format by which any publisher can come in, and as long as he can publish books, people can consume it. Whereas Amazon uses a proprietary format, so there is a big difference there. So even small publishers can come in and publish their books and make it available to people to buy. So that's.
Yeah, I'm very psyched.
Yeah, I'm very psyched on the EPUB format. There's a lot of websites already that everything in public domain. Yeah, you can EPUB it up and get hundreds of pretty darn good books for free. In the back.
So I had 3 thoughts in thinking about this, and I'll just throw them out as potential topics of discussion. First, I think the physical size of the device is important, and that's going to change the kind of apps that are built, because the iPhone is with you all the time. It has that little narrow screen, and so the kind of apps that are written are very thin slices of functionality. And this, of course, is going to be bigger. It's not going to be so portable, so I think the apps are going to have to be bigger in some sense. Second, why did Steve Jobs put so much time and effort into this just to kill the netbook space? That makes no sense. I think he's thinking very creatively about textbooks, for instance, and really fundamentally changing the way textbooks are. Right now, there's no interaction, but if you're looking at your textbook on this iPad, it's going to be able to give you problems, it's going to be able to do animations, it's going to make textbooks something completely different that we've never seen in this world before. And third, and finally, the interface, you know, on the iPhone you can do the multi-touch stuff with 1 or 2 fingers, but now with this increased real estate, you've got the chance for 2 hands and 10 fingers. And so if you think about the kind of interface that Mr. Data used on Star Trek The Next Generation, where he's playing a computer like a piano, those kind of interfaces are not going to be possible. And I think that's going to be a real remarkable evolution in the way we interact with machines.
It's a mobilely connected tablet, essentially, right? So, like, he changed the information right there. So, like, a communicator, telepresence is what Cisco is in the bridge, you know, like, all these, like, Ahora's earpiece is Bluetooth, like, you know what I mean? Like, these things are emerging in real life. Like, Cisco will eventually make a teleporter, I think. But, I mean, Steve Jobs is doing the tablet, essentially. It's gonna show up in hospitals, it's gonna show up on military platforms, it's gonna show up like, you're going to use it in board meetings probably. It's changing the game. I think whoever said people who wouldn't buy a netbook are going to buy this, and it's going to change the way people use computing. And at first I was hesitant, but I think it's pretty interesting. So I make that point. I think you're really onto something when you say Star Trek, and because when creative people get involved, they don't think about technical limitations. They think about functionality, right? So I think you're really onto something when you say Star Trek.